History at the Coalition of Hampshire Taxpayers of speaking through just about any speaker like they're not even talking. But we know that we're really listening even if they don't. But this one might be a little different, folks, because James O'Keefe has raised to an art form undercover video investigation. And he's got something that he put together just for us here at the Coalition of Hampshire Taxpayers today that we're going to want to pay attention to. So, as he makes his way across the floor to the adoring hugs of many, well, yeah, women are just throwing themselves at this guy. We're pleased to welcome James O'Keefe as our keynote speaker for a special presentation he's put together. You're going to want to be able to watch that television screen. Without further ado, the man I hope to interview soon, James O'Keefe.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be back here in New Hampshire.
I put the splitter in.
We have some technical presentation. I always bring video.
The Attorney General called. He's not coming.
The Attorney General's not coming here?
No.
Now, you have a different Attorney General now, right? Is it, what's his name, Delaney or Head or? Foster. Anyways, my lawyer said that if I come here, they might arrest me. This is a very dark time for our country. And as someone who represents an organization that specializes in hidden camera streaming video, I feel compelled to say that there is a silver lining in the events over the last few days. We have lost police officers and we have seen disgusting, graphic, disturbing images of violence. But I believe that the same technology that was used to create this awful but incredible series of events can be used to clean up government and to create government transparency. And if you don't believe me, and if you're hopeless, which most people are hopeless, that nothing can change, we have done it just to a little bit of a degree here in New Hampshire. We have actually gone undercover into the poll locations, catching these officials. Do we have sound, Mike? Oh, well, I don't know if we have the sound worked out. I'm going to show you. And you've seen this. And we have gotten these people on tape breaking the law. And my vision is to create a guerrilla army of people that are going to do this all over the country. And is this the speaker here?
There's two of them.
Okay, great. So it should work.
Yeah.
So this is us in the poll locations on primary day, speaking to officials. By the way, I don't know if you all know the story. I guess you know the story. This was your former governor here. His name was Lynch. He wanted to have me arrested. And Lynch. And this is your former Attorney General, Richard Head, who all across the country they can't believe the guy's name was actually Dickhead. This was your former governor vetoing an ID bill prior to our video 4 years ago. And the video, and thanks to you guys, after we did those investigations, the people of New Hampshire overwhelmingly passed the law despite the governor's veto. That's democracy in action. And they did it. And they did it because they were compelled to do it, because of the power of the streaming video. Now fast forward 4 years. Fast forward 4 years. We go back to New Hampshire because they vetoed another law. And we go back in. This was in March, or February, in the primary. We spoke to all these officials. They had no idea what they were talking about. So guess what happens after the first video comes out? They send me a letter. The Attorney General of New Hampshire sent me a letter, a subpoena letter, threatening me for doing my journalism. So what do, right? I get a letter, a subpoena. I back down, get afraid, cower. No, I released another video. And we catch this guy, who was the field director for Bernie Sanders, in a bar here in Manchester. He was bragging about the fact that he does not live in New Hampshire, but votes in New Hampshire. He was committing a felony. We get him on tape bragging about it. We get his registration. This guy was so dumb, thanks to where's Ed Nail? Ed Nail actually got a copy of the voter registration form where he lists the address as the place he doesn't even live in. And the guy is so dumb, he's bragging about it on Twitter. He's holding up the form. So we released it as a crime in New Hampshire. Do you think the Attorney General prosecutes the crime, or they come after me? They come after me. He sends me a second letter. The Attorney General of New Hampshire sends me 2 letters asking, for cooperation. You must cooperate with the investigation. Well, why is it about my cooperation when it should be about the crime that we caught on tape? So what do I do? Do I back down?
No.
Do I give up?
No way.
Do I tell everyone that everything's hopeless and we should give up because our country is screwed? No, I released another video. And this one is the most shocking one of all. Australian Socialist Party sent Australians to the United States to work for the Bernie Sanders campaign in violation of both FEC law. Oh, and these Australians were ripping up all these campaign signs, which is a crime in the state of New Hampshire. Would the Attorney General prosecute that crime? No. What do you think the Attorney General's going to do? He's going to send me another letter. He's going to send me another letter.
Wow, it's getting expensive.
We're paying for it.
I mean, and you guys are paying for all these letters. Isn't this great? They should be, actually, no, it's not great, but they should be. It's ironic. It's satirical. But the beautiful thing is that the reaction becomes the story. The story becomes their reaction, and the government spending all their time going after journalists instead of, pursuing justice, right? And that's wrong, but the great thing is it's in front of the public for all to see. And when Diane Bitter was in Washington at CPAC, we showed this, and people were amazed. So what happens next? What do you think the Attorney General does? Well, he sent me so many letters, I think he's going to stop sending me letters. So, but you know what he does say? You got to cooperate. He says, you got to cooperate. You got to give us the raw footage, because we don't trust you. So what do? Take it up a notch. I go to the State House, and I say, I'm not going to give this footage to the Attorney General. I'm going to give it to the governor, because the Attorney General works for the governor. And we know this is all politics. Unfortunately, we live in a society where facts cease to matter. It's no longer about facts. It's about narratives. It's about who gets helped by this. It's not about justice. It's about politics. So, let's go to the political source. I go to the governor. I hold a press conference. Some of you were there. And I sit, I'm sitting there. I have the hard drive with all the videos on it, and I walk across the street and give the footage to the governor, and guess who shows up right outside the governor's office? I can't make this up. The guy's name is Richard Tracy. Your chief investigator, who works with formerly Dickhead's Justice Department, the investigator's name is Dick Tracy. And at first I thought, when Mr. Tracy's wearing the green shirt there, at first I thought when he gave me the, he's like, hey, Mr. O'Keefe, I'm like, oh, a fan, how you doing? He's like, here's a subpoena. A subpoena, and indictment subpoena. You gotta cooperate. Oh my God, I just got a criminal grand jury subpoena, everyone, and the WMUR is there, and other TV stations there. I mean, my point to you is this is not about me, and it's not even about Dick Tracy and Dick Head, although you can't make that stuff up. This is about a movement, a reality in the making, and a reaction from state officials. And who am I? I'm not from New Hampshire. I'm from New Jersey. And we got New Jersey people here? What exit? I'm 168 off the Parkway, Westwood. So, and there I am. Dick Tracy's right there. I'm waving the subpoena. And, you can't make this stuff up. There it is. Dick Tracy, grand jury, subpoena. I'll just let you guys know. My lawyer said, no, I don't know, James, you can't come up here. Last time I went up here, I stayed over at Marmar's house, and the guy came to Marmar's house with the criminal grand jury subpoena. They try to threaten people. They try to silence people. But you know what the truth is that everyone's hopeless, everyone's scared, no one thinks they can make a difference. But the truth is, I'm still standing. I'm still here. I don't give up. Unless I'm dead or incapacitated, I don't give up. And, you know, we're talking in the car on the way here, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And if this is a war, it's a political war, a war for justice and truth, well, I guess I'd rather fight that war of attrition than give up. Because there's great nobility in fighting. There's great joy in fighting. And if the events of this past week have proved anything to me, it's that there is a spark of hope in the reality of this type of cinema, this type of truth finding. And if it's going to save us, it's going to require people with courage and the ability to take risks, to sacrifice themselves for a cause greater than themselves in the name of our country. And and that's where you guys come in. That's where you guys come in. So I just wanted to thank you for having me. I'll answer a question if you want. We're not done. You know, I do have other footage. By the way, the governor issued a statement. This is current governor, right? Running for Senate, I guess. And she says, and this is interesting. Usually they attack me. Usually they attack the Veritas Project and the journalists. But she says, Governor Hassan believes anyone who against voter fraud should be prosecuted. And the governor's office has provided the footage that was dropped off today to the Attorney General's office, which has an ongoing investigation. They've launched an investigation.
Yeah.
When have we heard that before? And then they hire a forensic firm, and the forensic firm puts out a report, and on page 16, you know, they say, well, everything is real, but the media doesn't cover that.
Right.
They cover the conclusion that says they did nothing wrong. An FBI Comey director says she did nothing wrong, but he also said she did do some things wrong. And this is how they whitewash reality. But the video mobilizes the people. The video transforms the public consciousness. That's the vision I have, is that we bypass these idiots, these pathetic people who don't have any leadership, and we mobilize the people. And the people know what to do. So where does it stand? It stands in your hands. I brought a copy of this. This is the front page of all these newspapers in New Hampshire that we made. And I actually walked into, is it Bill Gardner, the secretary?
Yeah.
Me and the producer walked into Bill Gardner's office a couple months ago and gave him this newspaper. And he looks at it. And I could see the wheels spinning, and he says, well, I don't know what to do about this. And I said, Mr. Gardner, it's a crime, what he did. Are you going to prosecute it? And he was obfuscating, and the gears were turning, and he just couldn't. It requires pressure from people like you. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I have a request, something that you could do to help this state and your country. I have brought with me, how many copies, Laura, do we bring? 20, 50 papers?
Almost 100 times.
100 copies of these newspapers. 100. And I'm gonna circle the fraud, the crime, the felony that was committed here. All that I'm asking you guys to do is to walk in to the Secretary of State's office with a copy of the newspaper and give it to him. That's it. I don't want you to make any political statements. Don't criticize Obama. Don't criticize the governor. Don't say how much you like voter ID. Just give him a copy of the newspaper with the crime that is on tape, just like those cops were on tape shooting black people. Give them the tape paper that has the quote from the video, which is a crime in New Hampshire, and say, Mr. Gardner, will you prosecute this? That's it. I want 100 of you to do that. Can you promise me you can do that?
Yeah.
You promise?
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you to it. Okay, so what can I do, James? What can I do? I just told you what you do. Walk into your Secretary of State's office and do that. Easy. And you know what? That's the first step. And then there'll be another video. and another video, and another video, and thousands of you, and millions of you, and pretty soon the legacy media will only be reporting on the things that we do. And we will be their assignment editors. That's the vision. That's the future. And thank you very much. Actually, you gave me a signed copy of the New Hampshire Constitution, and what's your question?
Thank you. I have a comment and to add to what you were just talking about, and that is, well, I'm Representative Prudhomme O'Brien.
Thank you.
And I had a bill about New Hampshire Constitution Day, so I was speaking to Secretary Gardner a lot this year, and what I did was that video that you're talking about, I asked him if he saw it, as soon as I was aware of it, and he had not. And he's an older man, and he's not really comfortable with that kind of media. So I sat in his office, and we watched the video together on my tablet. I brought it with me. We watched all of it together, and I just want to let everybody know that he has seen it. So if you are told that he has not seen it and is not aware of it, the fact is that I sat with him for at least 40 minutes watching that with him. So
Thank you for doing that. Thank you very much. She said, I saw it. I was there. I was there for, was that the time I was there, or you did it again?
I went back.
You went back?
No, I just go back all the time to speak to you.
Yeah, you did. You walked right in there. I was with you. You showed him the newspaper, and he said, I think I heard about this, but he didn't know. So, again, the only way to get the politicians to act is if you light a fire under their butt. That's right. And you do that by just pouring down on them truth. And then they'll have to do something. Yes.
Last week, one of the candidates for governor was the deciding vote on a retroactive contract for funding Planned Parenthood. And I know you've been in touch with David DeLay, and in his case, you know, do you have any more information about what's happening?
David DeLayden, the guy who produced the Planned Parenthood exposés all over the country, yes. Texas tried to indict him.
Yes.
And he got off on one of those counts, right. But they still have other counts notwithstanding. California Planned Parenthood tried to make it illegal to film inside the offices there. I am currently sued. I'm suing the state of Massachusetts, your neighbor, in federal court on the grounds that all laws that prohibit filming of government officials are unconstitutional. We have really good attorneys, and they're really smart, and I believe over time these government people who want to prohibit what I do, we will defeat them. And if we can't defeat them in the halls of justice, we'll defeat them in the court of public opinion. Yes?
The gentleman, I don't know if you want to call him that, in your video that you caught with voter fraud is actually a tracker that I've actually had removed 2 or 3 times with different events over the last couple of years.
Hugo Palma?
Yes.
The guy that works for Sanders?
Yes.
Yeah, Hugo Palma.
No.
Which guy?
Not the one from Australia. The other one.
The other one, the Hugo Palma guy. You're talking about the guy that worked for Bernie Sanders who was caught on tape in Manchester.
I want to make sure I get the right one.
This is him right here.
Yes.
Hugo Palma was the regional field director in Manchester, New Hampshire, working for Bernie Sanders. He lied. This is, again, so you have the facts straight for your Secretary of State. He said he lived at that address. That address is the campaign office.
He's a tracker.
He's a tracker.
And he shows up a lot. And he's tough to get out of a room.
Well, here's how we can get him out of the room and get him in court because he broke the law. So he said that he lived at 345 Siley Road. Silly Road, which is the address for the Bernie Sanders campaign office. That is a crime. You cannot register to vote at the place that you work. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to be armed with more to help get rid of him this time.
Okay, well, all you got to do is walk into your office there with that document and that newspaper and say, are you going to prosecute this or not? And I would love it if he said no. Because then you could say why.
And get it on video.
Can you get me a copy?
Well, a video, if you want to get on video, if you want to do that.
No, I mean, to have it with me to show him.
We can get you that. We can absolutely get you that. Yes, sir.
Thank you for helping me. I appreciate it.
That's correct.
What should we do about that?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, and I do have one, and I can get a better quote, so don't quote me on this, but the two-party consent state, probably people in this room know more about this than I do, as long as you're in an area where there's no expectation of privacy, where people can reasonably like right now I have no expectation of privacy, you guys can film me legally. As long as you're in a place where a third party can overhear your conversation, you're fine. And my attorneys obviously believe if we're in a public area with people around, you're fine to film. That's how you, any other questions? Yes, Fran.
James, I think that Bernie Sanders' contract with that landlord specifically said that there could be no overnight stays on that property. So even if he claimed that he lived at the campaign office, it was in violation of the Sanders contract.
Violating everything, contract, state law, federal law, breaking every rule in the books. Will they do anything about it?
No.
Only if you walk in there. Thank you very much. I'm going to be sitting right there at the door, and I'm going to be signing the front page of the Union Leader with Hugo Palma's face on it. And I'm going to be giving them to anyone who wants one. Thank you.
Crop TV.